In the year 247 of the Earth calendar, humanity made its first contact with the galactic community. It was a quiet affair, barely causing a ripple, compared to the other members of the community. Humans were primitive, viewed with a mix of pity and curiosity as they struggled to expand, establishing colonies in their immediate vicinity. Most members of the galactic community quickly forgot about the fledgling human republic, while others observed them with clinical interest, secretly conducting studies in hopes of drawing parallels to their own species' evolution into spacefaring civilizations millennia ago. My species, the Elanians, were different. We felt an immediate kinship with the humans. They were the most like us, with the only real difference being that we still had prehensile tails and a slightly different way of life. We saw them as distant relatives, even children, and took great interest in their development. As we watched them, human explorers stumbled upon a star and headed straight for it, just to see what was there. We found human traders traveling established routes, selling their goods and curiosities to anyone willing to buy. We fell in love with this new species and, after years of observation, decided to open official diplomatic channels. My father was appointed the first ambassador, playing a crucial role in forming a relationship with our new kin. He became their most passionate advocate within our government, often telling me stories about them when I was young. One story, in particular, stayed with me. My father described how a Zenon ship, filled with young students on a school trip, was caught in a sudden subspace anomaly. Dozens of human ships responded to the distress signal. Exploration vessels, freighters, scientific ships, leisure craft, even pirate ships. They all came to help. My father recalled watching sensor footage with tears in his eyes as the humans bravely tried to save the young Zenon, losing many of their ships in the process. It didn't matter how many were destroyed or damaged. They kept trying, never giving up. More human ships dropped out of hyperspace, joining the rescue efforts. In the end, they saved all 25 Zenon children at the cost of 12 destroyed ships, dozens damaged, and over 800 human lives. I couldn't help but admire their willingness to sacrifice for the lives of children from another species. It was an inspiring sight, my father said. This event, along with others where humans rushed to aid alien worlds and ships in times of disaster, convinced our government to help humanity in their development. It was strictly forbidden to give less advanced species technology they hadn't developed themselves, but our government found ways around these restrictions. For example, Elanian ships would accidentally lose technology near human space, or Zenon ships would send disguised vessels with their most advanced tech and databases of knowledge into human territory. Over the next 20 cycles, humanity made rapid progress, leapfrogging 300 years of technological advancement, much to the dismay of the galactic community. Investigations were launched, but no evidence was ever found, and the matter was quietly dropped. By the year 272, the human republic had grown significantly. Their ships were everywhere, participating in trade, science, and exploration. We tried to convince the community to grant them membership, but most members vehemently refused. My father was furious, but the humans seemed unbothered. Their ambassador simply said, "As long as you buy our goods, we don't care what you think of us." Then, the insectoid empire struck again. The insectoids were a swarm mind of trillions of wasp-like creatures, 1.5 meters tall with vestigial wings, except for the queens, who could still fly. They expanded periodically, engaging in short, brutal conflicts with the community and other interstellar species, taking territory that most members considered unsuitable for terraforming. Diplomacy was impossible. Their worldview was too alien. The only communication they ever sent was 2 words. Permission given? If the answer was no, they attacked. This time, however, the insectoids broke through the community's borders and pushed straight into its heart. The community's fleet was caught off guard, and within 2 solar days, 8 member species were wiped out, with over 100 billion lives lost. The community's fleet was halved, and the remaining members were called to reinforce the main fleet. When the humans heard the attack, they sent an official subspace communication offering an alliance and defense pact. The community arrogantly ignored it. The insectoids continued their advance, and the community's fleet launched a counterattack. Initially successful, They destroyed over 3,000 insectoid cruisers before the swarm motherships entered the fray. The tide turned, and the community's fleet was reduced to less than 1,000 ships. They retreated to the core worlds, hoping to lure the insectoids into a trap. But the insectoids bypassed the defenses and headed straight for Periphery, where 4 member species, including the Elanians, resided. I remember sitting with my father and mother as we listened to our government's desperate plea for help. The community's president, a broken man, announced that the fleet couldn't come to our aid. Our world held its breath for 5 solar days until a transmission from the Human Republic arrived. Their president, sitting in her office, looked straight into the camera and said, "We are the Republic, and we will answer the call. Hold on, we're coming." The transmission ended abruptly, and the HoloNet returned to the news studios. My mother fainted, while my father jumped up, swinging from the ceiling, shouting with joy. I sat there, trembling, overwhelmed by the prospect of our impending doom. My father noticed my confusion and explained, "The humans are more than they seem. They pass the great filter. There's no greater friend and no worse enemy than a human." 2 solar days later, the Republic fleet arrived. 60,000 ships dropped out of hyperspace, lighting up the sky over Elania. The HoloNet showed the massive fleet. Dozens of carriers, hundreds of battleships, thousands of cruisers and destroyers, and unknown ships that defied scanning. Admiral Thompson addressed us, promising, "We are here to help our friends in their time of need. We honor our obligations. If the insectoids win, it will only be after every ship of the Republic is destroyed." The battle began. The insectoids charged, but the Republic's fleet executed flawless maneuvers, trapping the swarm and unleashing devastating firepower. The unknown ships, later revealed to be advanced stealth vessels, wreaked havoc within the swarm formation. The insectoids were decimated, losing half their strength in hours. The Republic's fleet pressed the attack, and within 2 solar days, the insectoid invasion was halted. The swarm motherships were hunted down and destroyed, and the insectoid empire was crippled. The community was saved, and the Human Republic was offered membership, which they gladly accepted. Humanity became one of the most powerful and respected members of the galactic community, always remembering the lesson of the Battle of Elania. There is no greater friend and no worse enemy than a human.